Hello to myself and everybody else. This is video 77. So far, this time I'm still continuing to look at the stuff that I was looking at in the free coding bootcamp for C++. And so far, still been watching the video and stuff from free coding bootcamp. And so far, we're currently on switch statements. And this is something that I genuinely had no idea how to use. I've used them before, but I didn't really fully understand what I was doing. So it's pretty nice to actually learn like what I'm doing right now. But basically just looking at this, the example they used was tools, and basically they just have this right here, just consistent int, pen, marker, eraser, rectangle, circle, and ellipse. Basically they just have this outside of the main like function. So I'm just assuming this is how it works. If you want to make a switch statement, have your main variables outside of it. Another thing I learned is that you can only use int with this. You can't use like strings or anything with it. So that's another thing I learned as well. And basically I learned that like switch statements are basically very similar to if statements, where basically you're just putting a bunch of different conditions down that if that condition is met, then it will just do whatever it says. So with this one, we have an int called tool, and we have eraser set. And it's basically the eraser from up here. So for the tool, we just made that up. Like these are the tools, so we just called it that. We just made up this variable. And basically with the switch statement right here, it looks at this variable right here, tool, and then sees what tool equals. So right now it equals eraser. So we have a bunch of case statements as well. Basically the equivalent to if statements, where if tool equaled like pen, like right here, then it would print out what is here, or it will do what's here. So we have it set to print like active tool is pen. Then we have this break statement, which basically stops it from running any other code. And right now we have eraser. So if we look down here, case eraser, and it would print out active tool is eraser and then stop. Down here we have a default one as well. So if none of them match, so if we had a tool that didn't exist, then it will just print out no match found. And then again, just it prints moving on, just to show once it does the case. So like with the eraser, once it prints this, it will then just print what's outside of the switch statement, which is this. So we'll go ahead and just look at that just to see what's up. Yep, right here, active tool is eraser. So because the tool was set to eraser, it printed out what was right here. So active tool is eraser. And then just moving on to the bottom. So far, if we change this, so let's say we type in pen and then run it again. Say active tool is pen and moving on, because that's outside of the case. So one more thing. So we type in like square, which is not one of the tools up here. If we type that in and run it, we'll basically get an error here because it was not declared. Which is weird, because by default it should print out no match found, but I have no idea why it's not doing that. Let me see. I guess that default is if there's nothing there. So let me try this. Yeah. So basically, again, by default, if there's nothing there, then yeah, okay, that's right. Yeah, so here's what went down. All right, so basically these pen is set to 10. And like what they said up here earlier, you can only use integers. So basically when we have eraser and stuff put here, it's actually basically saying tool equals 30. So basically just to test it to make sure, just if I put a 30 here, it should bring up the eraser. So yeah, active tool is eraser. If I put in a 10, it should be pen. Yep, pen. So basically with 0 not being one of the numbers there, if I have that and then run it, no match found, moving on. So yeah, that's basically the whole thing right there. So basically this can be used just like an if statement. Just basically, again, you're just putting cases rather than just saying if, whatever. So that's the only just downside, is that this only works with numbers. So it's very specific when you're probably going to use it. But again, just so nice to learn like what this is, because again, I've seen these before Had no idea what they were. Now I have another option I can use. So far, the other thing from the video that was also talked about was ternary expressions, which basically, again, are just like if statements, except just kind of the formatting is a little bit different. So basically with this example from the video, again, we have the int main and everything. And basically we have a basic example of an if statement right here and just printing it out. So we have max equals 0. And then we have an integer a and b equaling 35 and 20. And right here it just prints out using regular if. So basically the if statement right here just saying if a is greater than b, print make max equals a, then print it out. If a is not greater than b, then print out b and then print it out, or make max equal b, then print it out. With a ternary expression, it's basically the exact same thing, except the formatting is a bit different. Where with this, again, just saying using ternary, and basically have max equals, and then it just says a greater than b with a question mark, and then we have a colon b, which basically what this means is max equals a greater than b, and then basically saying if a is greater than b, then we use a, else use b, and then we just have it printed out. Again, basically is the exact same thing as the if statement up here. It's just basically more condensed down, just the formatting is a bit different. So again, it can be a little bit confusing to look at, but the video basically said this is something we're going to run into a lot if you ever get a career with this. So again, just something to look at and probably something to practice and everything too, but I'll go ahead and run it real quick so we can just see how it looks. So again, the regular if is 35, the ternary, same thing, 35. So if we change the number, so let's say b is greater, so make b 50 rather than 35, and we run it again. Same thing, it's 50, which is using b. So with the if statement, if a is greater than b, print a. If not, or really it's making max a, but still basically either way, it prints out the max is a if a is greater than b. Else, if a is not greater than b, it will print out, it will make max be b and then print that out. The ternary, exact same thing. It's just basically saying max will equal, see if a is greater than b. If it is, make it a. If not, make it b. And just printing the same thing out. So basically the ternary example, just a shorter condensed version of if statements. It's just a formatting that might take time to get used to, or you just might have to think about it for a second. Again, the only thing about it is I don't know if you can really do multiple conditions inside of it. Like basically with this up here with the if statement, let's say I wanted it to make max equal a, and then I also wanted to print out like 2 other lines as well. I don't know if I can do that here with this. I don't know what I would have to do for that. So that's something I'll have to look up or something like that as well. Or maybe situations like that, it might just be better to use a basic if statement or maybe a function or something. I don't know. But just, again, something I'm just pointing out and everything too. Just questions I have. But yeah, basically that was the whole thing I got from the video and everything. I'm like 7 or 8 hours into it out of 31. So I still got a ways to go. But again, at least I am learning something from this. So to myself and everybody else, see you in the next one.